Okay, everybody, we're going to go ahead and get started. Curt, can you hear me?
I certainly am.
All right, great. Well, welcome everyone to the CEO Roadshow Webinar Series, where we feature small and mid-cap stocks that may be undervalued or have other upcoming catalysts that make them a potential long-term investment opportunity. Today, we're joined again by Mr. Curt Huber. He is the CEO of Global Hemp Group. They trade in the CSE under GHG, here in the US on the OTCQB under GBHPF, and also in Frankfurt under GHG. So Global Hemp is focused on executing a multi-phase strategy to become a leader in the hemp industry in the United States. They're currently developing an eco-friendly green community in Hayden, Colorado that will use sustainable, value-added industrial hemp products created from the processing of the entire hemp plant. The project will expand existing real estate and water infrastructure assets and have multiple revenue stream opportunities. So we're interested to learn more about them. So with that said, Curt, I'll turn it over to you. Before I do, just want to mention real quick, everyone, you can click that Q&A button at the bottom of your screen anytime during the presentation, type your questions in, and Curt will try to get to as many of those as he can at the end. So with that said, and no further ado, Curt, I will turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. And I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today. I'm going to take you through a little presentation on Global Hemp. Just, of course, the cautionary note that I will have some forward-looking statements in this presentation. So be aware of that. And we want to tell you as much as we can in this next half hour about Global Hemp. But first, a little bit about me. I've been in the public company world for the last 25 plus years. I've been a senior officer or director of many different public companies in many different industries. I've been associated with companies that have been in the mining industry, the oil and gas industry, technology, and of course, hemp. I've actually been in the hemp industry since about 2014. And I'm currently a member of the U.S. Hemp Building Association and recently became a member of the Rolling Stone Culture Council, where we are focused on driving the initiatives of hemp and the products that are related to hemp. A lot of people ask me, why did I get involved in the hemp industry to begin with? And quite honestly, as we say on our website, hemp is one of the few plants on this earth that we can provide significant social, environmental, and economic benefits to all. Or, more simply put, this plant can feed, clothe, house, and medicate people. So it's truly an amazing plant. There are two pressing matters that we are going to talk about today as part of what is happening with Global Hemp and our project. One is that this project addresses the need for affordable housing, and we have a solution for that. And certainly climate change is, and the amount of CO2 that's released into the atmosphere, that is pressing to all of us, and hemp actually helps provide a solution that can help on that as well. Next slide, please. So as Mike said, we are developing an eco-friendly green community. It's located in the northwest portion of Colorado, up in Hayden. This project is been designed to be totally vertically integrated. So we grow hemp, we manufacture both building materials and other value-added materials on site, and then at the end of the day, our goal is to take those products and build carbon neutral, or if we can, carbon negative housing, which is in the targeted for the workforce and in the affordable category. We have collaborated with Western Sierra Resource. They have developed a tremendous water infrastructure asset that is key to the development of this project, and their expertise in the development of housing is going to play a key role as well. And a little further down the presentation, we'll talk about Roger Johnson, who is our latest director and the president of Western Sierra, and the wealth of knowledge that he brings to this project. Next slide, please. So in the simplest terms, this is a real estate project. It's going to be successful even without the introduction of hemp. But the minute you introduce the hemp, it does a number of different things for the project. It creates multiple revenue streams. It allows us to build more healthy, more eco-friendly homes. Our target market right now is under $500,000. We hope to get down below that, but that's going to dictate, depending on conditions as we move forward with respect to building materials. At this point, we've invested close to $2.5 million into this project since the early part of this year, and we continue to move forward with the development of it. We're currently seeking a strong financial partner to provide a debt facility with that'll be secured by the current real estate and water infrastructure assets. Next slide, please. So over the next 5 years, we expect that by increasing our land development, our ag production, and the associated water development and beneficial use targeted to the production of hemp-based products, that we can actually generate assets in excess of $200 million. Other highlights of this project, and we'll expand on some of the other points as we move through the presentation, but one of the key things that is going to happen with this project, and why we call it a green community, is the fact that utilizing hemp will actually sequester carbon and take it out of the atmosphere and lock it away for probably 50 to 100 years in the building materials. One of the other key components of this particular project is that because we have the water infrastructure in place, we're able to buy dry farmland, non-irrigated, add our water infrastructure to it, and now you have irrigated land, thereby increasing the value tremendously just by having the water infrastructure assets in place. Next slide. So to date this year, since May, we've acquired 3 large acreage packages, which is the key strategic packages for this project. In the upper left-hand corner, you see the X-West, as it's known, site. That's where our manufacturing facility is going to go in what we call our Hemp Agro-Industrial Zone, or our HAIZ. So that's 44 acres there. Where it says phase 1, which is encompassing the lower portion of Hayden, that is where the initial development for our residential real estate is going. There's currently room for approximately 275 single-family residences in that portion of the development before we move on to the next phase of land, which is the 664 acres. So in total, we actually have about 830 acres of land to build on, and it'll be done in 40-acre increments or 100 units at a time. Our plan is that over the next 5 years, that we will increase this acreage position to north of 5,000 acres, and we look to continue to acquire acreage as we move forward. The opportunity in this immediate area is that there's probably close to 50,000 acres that we could acquire if we wanted to continue to develop this project. Next slide, please. And actually, you can skip over that one and go right to the building of Hayden. This really is a long-term horizon for development. Because we look to develop about 100 homes a year, we have, based on the pent-up demand, as noted by Routt County Housing Needs Assessment reports, there's a lot. This region has been chronically underserviced by affordable homes category. When you're next to a large-scale ski resort like Steamboat Springs, real estate tends to be very expensive, and it doesn't make it very affordable for the service industry people to live in the immediate area. So right now we see the pent-up demand is probably in excess of about 2,500 units. So that's why we say there's a huge time horizon here that we can develop on a whole complete scale of a green community. The metric basically is if we build 100 homes, we should generate net revenue somewhere in the neighborhood of approximately $7.35 million. As I mentioned, the water infrastructure, that's one of the key components, and it's also the impediment for others to get involved, because if you don't have your own water in this particular region, when you go to develop, the town will not supply it for you. So it makes for a difficult situation for others to come in and develop around us. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, our target market is under $500,000. We're hoping that we can get it down lower than that. We'll see how that goes as we continue to build out the project over the next couple of years. Currently, there's water that has been designated by the state for this project based on our water assets. And there's the decree right now is just a shade under 3,000 homes. So again, we've got the infrastructure in place to make this happen. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, we've at this point, we've acquired the projects, the 3 real estate pieces, totaling about 875 acres. We've engaged the planners, the engineers. We're talking to the architects. We're getting all of the local people involved. And that's one of the things that we feel very strongly about, is that the opportunity to work right in the community and take the people that, if they're qualified, to bring them onto the team. And that's what we've been doing. We're currently working with the town of Hayden to have the final approvals put in place so that we can develop the initial package, which is the industrial property, which will contain our manufacturing facilities, our administrative and a showroom facility, as well as we'll look to put some greenhouses and lab facilities on site there so that we can do some R&D on the continuing development of the hemp. Next slide, please. The Hemp Agro-Industrial Zone, or the HAIZ as we call it, is basically a complex that has all of our manufacturing facilities under one concise location. The idea is that as we continue to expand with the hemp cultivation, we look to actually utilize 100% of the hemp plant so that we can build value-added products and utilize them in our project. So really the components of this zone are the whole entirety of the project. You have cultivation of the hemp, you have primary and secondary processing of the hemp into value-added products, and of course, utilizing those particular products in our development of the housing. So it is totally vertically integrated. That's where most hemp projects have difficulty, is that yes, you can grow the hemp, yes, you can make some products at it, but at the end of the day, if you do not have a place to sell it, as we've seen in the industry over the last year or two, that's where the challenges begin. This project takes care of that. It's been engineered. We've thought about this for a very long time. We've wanted to do this project for, well, since 2014, when I first got involved in Global Hemp, because our vision has always been that the industrial aspects of hemp are going to be the largest segment of the market, bar none. And yes, the world got a little sidetracked on CBD and the cannabinoids and things of that nature, but in the end, the industrial aspects of hemp and the applications thereof are going to be the biggest component. Next slide, please. So as we get up to scale in terms of our cultivation of hemp, that really drives all the other components, whether all the manufacturing components. And we see that our projected revenue, net revenue at this point, once we reach scale, gets up to about $7.3 million a year and then continues to grow as we continue to increase scale. Initially, we'll focus on the inner woody core of the plant, which is the hurd. That's used for the building materials, and I'll talk a little bit about the building materials as we move forward. But in the end, the fiber, which comes out of the plant that wraps around the stalk, is really the gem of the plant. That's where the money is made. That's the higher value products that are made. And over time, we'll expand onto that so that we can continue to expand our revenue streams and our value to the company. We look to, we're a collaborative bunch. We look to partner with other technologies, bring them into the HAIZ area. We have lots of acreage that we can actually expand the manufacturing into all sorts of different aspects of the hemp products. Next slide, please. Just a quick little difference between cultivation of hemp for industrial products versus CBD. You know, you may have seen CBD plants. They look a lot, it's grown the same way they grow cannabis, big bushy plants, widely separated apart. This is grown like corn. It's stuck closely together. They space them out every couple of inches. The plants grow tall. Just recently, there was a group that set the record for, they went into the Guinness Book of World Records. They had a hemp plant that actually grew to 24 plus feet. It was amazing. It was huge. So as you can see on the right there, that's what the stalk looks like. That inner woody core is the building material stuff. Once it's processed, it looks like just basically bark chips, and that's what's used for those materials. Next slide, please. There's a lot of advantages to using hemp-based products. Now, we are not reinventing the wheel here. This is a proven technology that's been in use for decades in Europe. It's just North America has been slow to adopt it, partly because of the legal infrastructure that has surrounded hemp, partly because it just never has been brought, the technology has been brought over here. So we feel very strongly about the benefits. The building material called hempcrete, which is basically just a mixture of the hurd, the lime, and a water component, and they mix those together. It sets up like it is concrete, and but it's non-toxic. It's mold resistant. It's pest resistant. It's fire resistant. It breathes, so it keeps the internal temperatures more moderate. It absorbs moisture in the moist times. It releases that moisture in the dry times. It's really a good insulative material that for every inch of hempcrete, it's about an R2, R2.5. So they build these structures with about 12-inch wide walls. And so suddenly you've got R25, R30 walls made out of this. And as I mentioned, one very important aspect of this is that these houses are carbon negative. Generally speaking, they sequester enough carbon, net carbon, to become negative. And that the interesting thing is that over time, these houses will continue to sequester carbon and just keep taking carbon out of the atmosphere. So it is a really good solution to help the CO2 that's going into the atmosphere. Next slide, please. So there's a whole number of different ways to apply this. We like the block technology. We're working on bringing the block technology to our Colorado project and be able to manufacture them on site with our own material. If you do take a look at this presentation, you download a copy. All of these pictures have links to videos. There's some really quite interesting information behind those. Next slide, please. So very quickly here on carbon sequestration. So, you know, some of the, all plants sequester carbon, especially fast growing ones, but the trick is to lock it away for an extended period of time. Certain amount of that goes into the roots and the rest is in the stems and the leaves. With the hemp plant, because you're using it for, say, building materials, you're actually taking that carbon, locking it away for an extended period of time, maybe 50 or 100 years, because the house will stand for that long. And as I say, it will continue to sequester carbon as it continues to be in place. Next slide, please. The whole building materials construction and the operation of buildings accounts for you know, close to 40% of the CO2 output right now. So the building industry needs to work on making itself more eco-friendly. There's a lot of groups that are looking closely at ways to do that. We feel very strongly that hemp will be a part of that solution. Next slide, please. So for the science geeks in the room here, we've got a little more detail than we probably need today, but certainly you can see that on a hectare of hemp that's grown, or about 2.5 acres, you end up with about 16 tons of dry matter. The majority of it is in the straw, which they call it, which is the stalk. You can see that it retains carbon in the roots and the leaves. And at the end of the day, it captures about 1.6 tons of CO2 equivalent per ton of the raw material. Next slide, please. So, you know, at this point, a cubic meter, or a little over a cubic yard of hempcrete sequesters about 83 kilograms of carbon. This is probably a little more technical than most people want, but you know, there's a breakdown of the information here. Next slide. But the bottom line out of all of this is that the hemp houses that use hempcrete end up sequestering more carbon than they give out. This calculation is detailed insofar as it brings the pluses and the minuses, and this is the net number. Next slide. As I mentioned, it will continue to sequester carbon over time. And right now, about a 1,500 square foot house, if you're doing it in blocks, it takes about 1.7 hectares, or that's just a little over 4 acres of hemp to grow a house. So that part we feel is, it's going to be interesting to see where this whole housing development will have hills of hemp in the background, and that'll be the building material for those people's houses. Next slide, please. So R&D is something that we feel very, very strongly about. Obviously, with an 80-year moratorium because of the being illegal, very little research and development has been done on this plant. We have created a R&D division in Mexico that is headed by Professor Victor Castao. He is an expert in nanotechnology. He's alternative building materials. He is truly a recognized leader in these areas of applied science and technology. This morning, we came out with a news announcement on an update on our R&D division. We've got a lot of things going on right now. We've just recently incorporated a Mexican subsidiary, so we have official Mexican status. As a matter of fact, we're just finalizing things this week so that we will actually be able to go into bigger and more interesting collaborations in Mexico. Recently, we signed a collaboration agreement with the National Autonomous University of Mexico. Through their facilities, we're going to be able to do more large-scale research. We are now working on an eco-friendly production method for graphene, hemp-based graphene, which is used in superconductors and batteries. The team is also developing nano fertilizers, and which are arguably, or as research suggests, maybe up to 3 times more efficient than conventional fertilizers. So we will continue to expand our opportunities in Mexico, and those will ultimately feed what we're doing in Colorado by being able to use various products that are developed. We are in the process of filing our first patent on a biocomposite material that was created by our team. So it's an exciting time with our R&D division. Next slide. Very quickly here, as I mentioned, Roger Johnson is a key component of the team. He is the one that created the water infrastructure. He is the one that has significant building or development expertise in this region. And we have Paul Perot, a agricultural economist, has helped me develop a lot of the material for the project. And we even have a master builder, a hemp master builder on the team. And he is one of the first adopters of hemp in North America. He's been building with it for almost 20 years. He's got close to 150 different structures in place that has been developed since that time. So we'll just skip to the last slide, Mike, and I'll take some questions before we run out of time here.
Great, thanks, Curt. Okay, yeah, we do have a couple, some of which it looks like you answered here. The first one comes from Scott. What are the advantages of basing your R&D in Mexico?
One of the biggest advantages is the people. Professor Castao is a amazingly talented and knowledgeable person, has tremendous connections, and because he works with a lot of Ph.D. candidate students, he has a wealth of very, very talented young people that he works with that are beginning to join our team, and we'll be able to expand the opportunities in Mexico for the whole company.
Okay, next question from Paul. Could the hemp-based graphene composite material mentioned in your news today have any potential applications to replace or be used as silicone semiconductors? Sorry about that, guys.
There's a multitude of uses for graphene, and there's, in the microelectronics industry and batteries and superconductors is some of the best known uses for it. So there is tremendous opportunity.
Okay, next question from Brian. How many acres will it take on average to supply enough hemp to support one of your planned communities?
So as I mentioned, every 4 acres, approximately 4.2 acres, will build a house. And so you can see that a very small amount of acreage will actually build enough material or generate enough material to build 100 houses a year. At that point, we will have the opportunity to actually market additional products to other areas to utilize our building materials. In particular, as I say, we're focused on the hemp block technology. We really like that. It makes for building much quicker. It's less labor intensive. And more importantly is that you can actually create the blocks over the winter when the weather is maybe less favorable for outdoor construction. Okay, next question from Jorge. Have you built any model homes yet using your hemp-free technology? We are in the process of getting the final approvals done so that we can do that. And we hope to be able to do that, have the approval process completed very shortly here.
Okay, next question from Ben. Have you incorporated any other sustainable features to your development projects other than hemp, such as renewable energy, et cetera?
Our partner, Western Sierra, has a number of interesting technologies that we're looking to incorporate in, which are in the power conditioning and HVAC technologies. In addition to that, we are looking at some other technologies relating to water and potentially large-scale infrastructure changes as well. So we have an opportunity to incorporate as much as possible into these developments. Again, keeping in mind that it has to be cost-effective because of the target market that we're going for.
Okay, the next question comes from Andrew. Are you searching out other locations that could be potential locations for your low-cost housing developments?
In the short term here, we're totally focused on Hayden. The opportunity is very large and long-term. As we get up to scale on our cultivation and our manufacturing, we will potentially look at other opportunities in other areas of the country.
Okay, last question here comes from Leonard. What is the timeline and completion of your HAIZ, and when will it start producing hemp?
So, as I said, we are in the process right now with the town of Hayden to have various approvals in place. Once the approvals are in place, what that will do is we will begin to develop our industrial area, which is the manufacturing, which includes the decortication, which is the primary processing of the hemp. In addition to that, there'll be 2 model homes. There will be the showroom, and of course, what we're looking to do is a demonstration farm / R&D area that will have R&D facilities on that as well.
Okay, great. Okay, that's all the questions, and thanks for those great questions, everyone. Any closing remarks, Curt, before we wrap this up?
Just flip the last page. And yes, again, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us. We do have this presentation available to be downloaded. I am available. You can reach out to me at this contact information, and I'd be happy to answer any of your questions. At this point, we have a big vision. This is going to be something unlike seen anywhere in North America. You're seeing developments like this in Europe, but you're not here. We're going to be one of the first to develop an entire community, and we look to make our contribution to the community and the planet by using hemp. So I thank you again for coming in, and have a great day.
Thanks, everyone. And this replay, I think we got that posted a little late last week. It will be up today. If any of you joined us late, want to watch that, we'll send that out as well as that link. It's available on CEORoadshow.com. Got another one of these great webinars with Global Hemp Group next week, same time. So if you join us late or want to join us again, please register at CEORoadshow.com. And in the meantime, Curt, we'll see you next week. Everyone else, take care.